Scrat is delightful to watch, and that's no hyperbole. Say what you will about this series otherwise, but Scrat and his antics will always matter. I especially love how the animation is so alive during his segments. Inanimate things like the crack bristle with personality, to say nothing of the acorn. His voice is also crucial to his success. It's at just the right register and tone to propel the masterful slapstick even further. The size discrepancy between Scrat and the trees is just ridiculous. That second ice slab literally appears from nowhere. Though that's so obviously the point, it deserves to be rewarded. There was plenty of flat land ahead of Scrat before they collided. Now, he falls a great height. But again, the cartoon logic for Scrat's sequences holds so strong its strength. It recalls the best of Looney Tunes, some of the greatest works in cinema. Scrat wouldn't be nearly as comically hilarious if the relationship between him and his nut wasn't also kind of lovely too. A few things here. Firstly, 2 mammoths step on Scrat, but we see none afterwards. The same applies for the birds. Secondly, we only see 2 legs even though most are quadrupeds. Finally, it goes from no surrounding animals on all sides to the opposite in the same shot.
You can play Extinction later.
Okay. Come on, guys.
Is the joke supposed to be that it seems like they're sinking, but they're not? Man, it's poorly executed. Manny being a loner fits, but he could still be alone even if he went south. Just don't trek with the crowds.
If my trunk was that small, I wouldn't draw attention to myself, pal.
There's something else that's a problem, and it gets worse by the sequel. The animals sound like 21st century humans too much, and often in a bad way. Though the rendering and first simulation haven't aged well, I prefer the character design. They're visually sanitized in the sequels. The roughness here gives them edge.
Hey, rise and shine, everybody!
I dig Sid's portrayal. He's no looker, but he's not repulsive, and his comic timing hits more than it misses. Plus, that lisp is charming.
Oh, sick!
I need hardly point out that the excrement was not there mere moments prior. Excrement jokes are too common in family animation to get annoyed, but this actually involves physical excrement we see. The film's not especially sophisticated outside of the Scrat segments.
I can't believe it. Fresh wild greens? Frank, where did you ever?
Now this is how to have them talk. Keep it to animal related matters, like food, and the modern lingo doesn't gel badly. The excrement Sid flicks on Carl's face vanishes straight away. I'm glad, but still. The sight of an upturned rhino resembling a Thanksgiving turkey just gets me. Now there's a nice detail. The rhino's impact shook some of the weaker trees. The ground they landed on was sloped. 2 shots later, it's much flatter. Whenever we get a shot of Manny's mouth, it often looks off model. Computer animation of humans hadn't evolved enough to make them appealing enough to relate to.
Especially since his daddy wiped out half our pack. We attack at dawn.
So Soda wants to attack the humans when they lost with a pack twice as big? Even given his thirst for revenge, that's sloppy.
You know what I mean? They woke up early and then they quietly tied my hands and feet and they gagged me with a field mouse and barricaded the cave door and covered their tracks, went to water so I'd lose their scent and...
Wow, Sid's family is despicable going that far to ditch him. Manny's tusks make it practically impossible to rotate without coming out. Sid could, you know, climb on top of Manny. There's space for him there. Oh, Scrat. Do we even need to say anything, folks? The dark lighting obscures it somewhat, but you can see Diego and Soto at different points in the cliff. Next shot, they're right next to each other. I dig the low-key way their approach for the attack is done. The human camp switches the side of the waterfall it's on. How can you make that kind of mistake with constructed sets in a computer? Symbolic object representing important character folks is brought to you by Diego, Roshan, and Roshan's mother. They didn't think to set the wolves loose straight away. The humans failed to kill one saber here when they killed half the pack previously when it was twice as big? These humans are very inconsistent at animal killing.
Look, if you're gonna have an extra mating dance, at least pick a female with the same color pelt, right?
Fur isn't a pelt until it's been removed. For all that it's not very layered, the human-animal drama does work well. Roshan and his bundle go from drenched to bone dry in just one shot. I'm somewhat impressed by how quickly that happens. So, why did she let herself die? It's effective, but still.
I'm not going.
This is perhaps the signature Manny line. It's the one Ray Romano uses to get into the Manny voice with every sequel. I've always liked it. Come on, Sid, you have the intelligence to go around. You should also have the intelligence to stand up on that ledge rather than using the sides. Given the direction Diego leapt from, are we to assume he leapt out of the bay?
You two are a bit of an odd couple.
There is no us.
I see. Can't have one of your own, so you want to adopt.
Ha! Brilliant! On the logic of, if you're going to steal slapstick, steal from the best, this works. The relationship between Manny and Roshan is actually quite sweet. Roshan may be a concept, not a character, but it works regardless.
You're never going to reach them before the pass closes up with snow. Which should be like... tomorrow?
We later see that they sleep on 2 different nights during the trek, so no. Some of the juvenile comedy does work well. The trio's inexperience with babies is one.
So if he poops, where does it go?
And then they bring the excrement jokes back. Just before Sid throws the diaper, he's near the rock Roshan's on, but when he throws it, he's over near the wall. Manny's trunk changes position between shots. Ironically, the dodo long outlived any other animal in this film. Maybe they're onto something. Again with the shot discrepancies. Is this on purpose?
Subarctic temperatures will force us underground for a billion years!
So you got 3 melons?
Actually, I take that back. The dodo's plan is good, but the execution is awful, to put it mildly.
There goes our last female.
Ha! His reaction makes it even funnier. Where's Diego? He's right there mere moments later. With the American football spoof, this sequence crosses to comedy gold. And the touchdown ends the spoof on a high note.
What ho? A foe?
That's just pure poetry, folks. What is that? These are the kind of character model errors that should be fixed in post-production. It's not uncanny valley level problematic, but still.
Spoils, worthy of such a noble...
Scrat's reactions, as always, are priceless, folks. Sid sucking his thumb is just too good.
What the? Go ahead, slice me. It'll be the last thing you ever do.
This scene feels like it's playing off what we know about Zeki, except we know nothing about him. Sometimes deleting a scene causes ripples, folks.
Soto's getting tired of waiting.
Going by the journey later, there's no way the pack could get to half peak and then send 2 sabers back in the same day.
Ooh, it's so ugly. Positively adorable.
He can't be both ugly and adorable.
What's the matter with you?
Bad lip syncing, strike 1.
You just keep marinating and I'll be right back.
To marinate is to soak in an acidic substance for cooking. Sid's way off. 3 times makes a tradition with these shot discrepancies, folks.
So, lady, where were we?
Carl? Easy, Frank.
The comic timing of that cut, folks. Aww. Manny cannot reach all the way up there. Editing hides it somewhat, but not completely.
Oh, he's fine. Manfred has me.
Why would Sid call him Manfred? He called him Manny from the start. Wow, Sid managed to lose them for a good while. I call Tosh. What is that? I find the joke funny, but it doesn't make sense in the slightest. Even if, in this universe, Pangaea has not split yet, going by continental drift, and the continents are still connected, Old Faithful and Stonehenge would still be way too far apart for the herd to pass both. How is this saber footprint the only one around? If the others were swept away, this one shouldn't be fully intact. It would make more sense to do a boot, not a bare foot. Manny knows humans wear footwear, he's got proof with him. Scrat performing charades works better than it sounds on paper. Where did the snow lodged in Manny's ear go? It's clear he didn't use it for throwing at Sid. Where did the shadow right by Sid go? Those chunks of ice go from sharp and square to roly-poly round. Sid should have seen the dinosaur when he came in. He looked in its direction. This is brilliant because it's not emphasized any more than it needs to be. Star Trek spoofs are all about the execution, folks. This one soars. This is perhaps the segment most pitched at the diaper set, but it works well enough despite being juvenile. The comic timing of this brief Scrat appearance is wonderful. Listen again. How did Roshan get through the spikes unscathed? Is Manny just trying to beat Diego for fun? Or does he think Diego still wants Roshan? It's not very clear. Oh, Scrat. Don't ever change. Though Diego is bigger than Sid, we should still see some of Sid's arm, judging by the outline positions. Bad lip syncing, strike 2. His mouth doesn't move at all. The cave paintings really give it a mythological feel. Though it begs the question, how much humans paint on the roof? It's easy to miss, but the paintings right by Sid change between shots. I'm not one for giving credit to looks that pass by very quickly, but just look at the sadness in Manny's eyes, and it's just a taste of what's coming. Revealing Manny's past through the cave paintings gives it more weight. Well played. Even better was to have this without one spoken word. It's undeniably all the more effective for it. So they crushed him with small rocks? Darn it, I just want to reach out and hug Manny. Touching movie magic, folks. And then they put that in. It's great how clear it is what they're saying to one another without dialogue. There were only 4 male humans before. Seems they've plucked up a 5th member out of nowhere. Roshan switches from being held by Sid to being on top of Manny. The lava seems to melt the ice further away from the bridge between shots. Diego would have made it if he did a running jump rather than from the edge. Where did the crack in the ice go? Oh, absolute tosh.
You're standing on my trunk.
If you listen closely, he says, "You're standing on my nose" the first time, but refers to his trunk the second time. You can see how hungry Lenny is from his eyes alone.
Knock it off! I'm starving! I told you to knock it off!
Oh, what if the Sabres doesn't have any dialogue? Quick, where can we squeeze in just a bit?
There's only one way to do it. First, you have to force it into a corner, cut off its retreat, and when you 3 have it trapped, I'll go for the throat.
Soto's explanation of how to kill Manny is suitably chilling. Zeke and Oscar are masters of switching flanking positions on the fly. Sid should consider art school, though Manny's not much better. Pretty sure Sid was on the other side of the fire? I can't help but feel this would be more powerful if there had been a scene of them seeing him trying to walk. It works regardless, but still.
You know, Diego, I've never had a friend who would risk his life for me.
Aww, that's really sweet. The power of this character moment, folks. Scrat walks away from the fire here. Suddenly, he's on the other side of it. Whoever came up with that in storyboarding should be very proud.
Because if we save him, he'll grow up to be a hunter. And who do you think he'll hunt?
That does raise the logic issues that clash between the realistic and cartoony aspects of this universe.
Why in the world would we trust you?
Because I'm your only chance.
Yeah, his word's enough proof to trust him, right? They left Roshan's bundle behind earlier. This is a major prop we're talking about. I even noticed that in my ute, and unlike with the Goose and the Scrat sequences, I minded. The tracks literally vanish in one shot. The snowboarding is animated well enough that it's suitably exciting. Soto was nowhere in sight when the other Sabres were chasing Sid, but when they catch the bundle, he appears mere moments later.
He got a little frostbite!
Bad lip syncing, strike 3. This doesn't fly in a major studio film. I dig that look of paralysed fear Manny gains upon Soto's appearance.
Survival of the fittest!
And he was left to starve to death. The tension on their approach makes your bones shudder. Diego collapsed right in front of Manny, so how come Manny is approaching him? What's more, Diego's facing the other way now. Surely we're not to believe he rolled over?
You didn't have to do that.
That's what you do in a herd.
Predictable? Yes. Touching? Absolutely. This scene is proof that the film is better as a dramedy than an outright comedy. His face does take you out of the moment a bit, but this moment is legitimately poignant. I like how this is meant to echo Manny's last encounter with humans. Why all the suspense? They could have just showed Roshan straight away. Aww, the primitive rendering doesn't hinder this much. The humans have swapped positions. That guy was on the other side. Where did the other humans go?
We won't forget about you.
Except they will forget him. I'm sorry folks, but it has to be said. Aww. Last one, I promise. That necklace vanished between being put down and being picked up again. It's obviously so we wouldn't connect the dots too quick, but still. Here we cut from Manny's trunk brushing it to not being near it at all. Visual imagery like this is universal and timeless, folks. On the one hand, we're all happy Diego's alive. But the film was so obviously setting him up to die, this reeks of a post-test screening change. Still, it's worth it for this moment. Plus, you can actually see some blood from the blow Diego took. Not a detail you'd expect. I need hardly point out that the necklace vanishes pretty fast. It's worse here, since it's on a character.
You know, this whole Ice Age thing's getting old.
Oh Sid, you have no idea.
You know what I could go for? Global warming.
Also, there's the first time this series hints at the next film's topic. They're hidden naturally enough that I'm still not sure if it's a coincidence or not. How exactly could Scrat get frozen close to his nut like this? Also, ice is supposed to be 90% under the water, yet that's clearly floating nearly 90% above the water. That coconut shouldn't already be missing its husk. It's true that they're hard to recognize when their husk is on, but still. The reprise of Scrat's finest moment may not raise it, but it comes close. Having chalk drawings decorate the credits, done by the filmmaker's children no less, is a nice touch. We're in the credits, folks. I can break our promise for this chalk drawing of Roshan that doesn't suffer from primitive rendering. Aww. Minus 35? It's not great by any stretch, but even the flimsy sequels haven't robbed this one of its merits.